so we can do the action items. Unfortunately, though we'd love to see our friends online, does not count for the purpose of taking votes. No, don't worry about it. It's okay if we have to roll over these two items. Hey there. Was there one other person coming in? Hey there, wonderful.
Where do you live?
Okay, so we have almost a quorum, and just so we can kind of keep us a little bit on schedule, I will go ahead and call us to order, and we'll do the items we can do without a quorum and then see where we are as the time goes by. My name is Lee Altman. I'm a Mecklenburg County Commissioner serving at large, and I also serve as Chair of the Metropolitan Transit Commission, and today is February 20th.
Online, Anthony Roberts.
Mayor Rusty Knox of Davidson, and I believe my town manager, Jamie Justice, is online.
Again, my name is Lee Altman, County Commissioner.
I am Brent Cagle, Interim CEO, CATS.
Brad Thomas, City Attorney's Office.
Amelia Stinson-Wesley, Mayor of Pineville, and my town manager, Ryan Spitzer, is online.
Ms.
Emily Kunze, CAT staff.
Thank you. All right. So folks online, if you can come off of mute and tell us your name and what jurisdiction you're from, and if you're a voting member, just so it'll be easier for our clerk.
Dennis Bilodeau, Cornelius.
Commissioner
voting.
Chambers, I
Commissioner
thought I
Chambers,
saw
I
you
thought I-
speaking, but we didn't hear you. Can you try that again?
No.
Yep, it's not coming through, but I will acknowledge your presence. From the town of Matthews, representing the town of Matthews, Commissioner Susan Chambers. Mayor Cornelius, we can't hear. Let's see if we can, let's pause and see if we can troubleshoot technology.
No, they can't, we can't hear any of them.
Just hang on if you can, everybody. We're going to try to fix our audio in the room.
All right, try again.
Okay, Mayor Cornelius? Nope, we still cannot hear him.
Which ones? I don't see them. Crestron, sure, that should be it.
Exclamation point next to their names, like there's something, I don't know. Maybe she's
Oh,
gonna
org's
write.
not trusted. Where are they going? I might have to go out. Controls.
Come on down.
Right.
I've never seen this.
Does that say when you do?
Just, they're unverified.
That's fantastic. Very smart.
Can you ask Bill to sound check again?
All right, Mayor Bilodeau, can you try again? Nope.
Oh, camera mic.
What if you switch a mic, see if that
Yeah,
doesn't?
it's always sure and Crestron.
Do you want to turn it off and start over?
I might have to go out and come back in. Because we can't control the audio system in here, it just always works. Okay.
Can you check, unmute themselves?
Yeah.
Dennis was unmuted, and we still couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Cam?
System's picking up, we just can't hear it. They have that blue
In November, which was before I joined. The first one,
I think it's Teams.
everybody was, I'm trying to figure out how many
It is, I see the logo up top.
constitute this. Okay,
So you suggest and leave out and try again?
that's helpful, thanks.
Chair, how do you want to proceed? Do you want to take a break for 5 minutes till we?
Since we have so few people here, I really hate for the people online to not be able to be heard. Tell you what, let's poll the room. Raise your hand in the room and online if you want to take a 5 or 10 minute recess so we can try to fix this technical issue.
That's fine.
In the room, I think yes. Okay, we're going to take a 5-10 minute break and see if we can fix the technical issue. Thanks, everybody.
He said it's
I'd like to welcome Mecklenburg County Manager Michael Bryant, and I think everybody else has already introduced themselves who is here at the dais. So let's again go to our colleagues online. Please come off mute, introduce yourself, tell us what jurisdiction you're from, and if you're a voting member.
Dennis Bilodeau, Town of Cornelius, voting member.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Bill Thunberg, Town of Mooresville, non-voting.
Andrew Grant, Town of Cornelius, non-voting today. I'm the alternate.
Ryan
Foster,
Spitzer.
City of Concord, non-voting.
Ryan Spitzer, Town of Pineville, non-voting.
Anybody else? All right. Well, I think we still do not have a quorum. So for that reason, I will turn to the interim CEO to bring us the parts of the agenda that we can address at this time.
You are free to, you could start with item 6. You're free to start with item 6.
All right.
The report of
Yep.
the PTAC.
Wonderful. Well, item 6 is, it says Chief Executive Report. So is it you or is it?
No, that's the Public Transit Advisory Committee.
Okay. Okay, no worries, no worries. All right, we'll take the report from PTAC at this point. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Abdullah Odin. I am the lead co-chair for the PTAC. Took the position in January and look forward, of course, to meeting with you guys. I've submitted a written report, and I am also here to answer any questions or any comments that you have regarding the report.
Well, thank you, Mr. Odin. We so appreciate you stepping up for service. And, please know that I would love to have you. You're most welcome to join us at the dais going forward. If you feel prepared today to give us a high-level summary, I know we'd love to hear it in case there are any questions, but I'm somewhat springing this on you. So if you aren't prepared to give a high-level summary, we can simply read your good work and follow up as needed.
Yes, ma'am. Right now, I am not available to do that, but I look forward to doing that in the future. Please make sure that you send me over any questions or comments that you may have, and I will most definitely follow up with you.
Wonderful. That'll be great. It'll give more visibility to the work of you and your committee, which I think is incredibly important. Does anyone have any follow-up questions at this time for our PTAC chair? No? All right. Then at this time, I will turn to our interim chief executive for his officer's report.
Yes, thank you. So you will note in your packet on page 15 is the beginning of my report. January 2026 summary of monthly statistics. Inside of the bus operations division, there were 3 reportable events in January. The first, a bus was struck by a passenger vehicle, resulting in minor injuries to the operator. The second, a bus made a sudden stop to avoid a collision, and 2 passengers had minor injuries. And 1 assault was reported. A juvenile female passenger was removed from a bus following a fare dispute, and 1 transit police officer sustained minor injuries. In the paratransit division, there was 1 reportable event in January involving a collision with a passenger vehicle. There were no injuries. And in the rail division, there was 1 reportable event in January involving a pedestrian making physical contact with the exterior side of a Blue Line train. The pedestrian was taken to the hospital for minor injuries. and it's important to note that the train operator followed all safety protocols. I will use my report to say publicly, we strongly advise all transit users to be alert, to take out their headphones, and to look up from their devices. This was an instance of someone who literally walked into the side of a train. And so we're very glad that there were only minor injuries, but we certainly want everyone to be aware and alert and enjoy transit, but be aware of surroundings. Ridership summary. In January, bus on-time performance has continued to experience positive trends, currently at 87%, up from 83% in January of 2025. I do want to highlight in our service changes. So the MTC took action in, I believe it was September, to modify 10 routes based on the work that our planning division had done. These 10 routes were some of the most difficult routes from an on-time performance standpoint. We made those modifications. The MTC took action to make those modifications. And we clearly believe that we are seeing the results of those 10 modifications and seeing an uptick in on-time performance. I think I will remind folks in 2022, 2023, when I started, we were really focused on missed trips. We have successfully managed to keep missed trips to near 1% or below. Sustained now for several years. But we were continuing to work through on-time performance. The standard that we would like as a minimum is 85%. As we started to focus on on-time performance, our bus section was routinely in the 80% range. And so we are now, we believe due to these actions and due to awareness and the evaluations that we're conducting with the operators, able to see the changes and see us exceeding that 85% minimum routinely now in bus. So we're really glad about that. We're really proud of that. And I do thank all of the operators and our planning division who are working so hard to make that happen for our customers. OTP, missed trips and OTP are really what our customers focus on. And so we're really happy to see this. Turning the page on the ridership. So I will note that ridership appears down across the board in January, but I will note that January was a very odd month for service in that we had several service days where we either were running significantly curtailed schedules because of ice or snow. We also had several days in January because of ice and snow where we had to suspend service because conditions were just not safe for operators or passengers. So bus ridership, local bus services were suspended January 25th with reduced services operating January 26th, 27th, and 31st. We saw a 6.4% decline in ridership for the month. Express routes also experienced decline in ridership of 3.2% and 9% respectively. The difference between local and regional express. So local express 3.2% and regional express down about 9%. Rail ridership saw a decline of 15% on the blue line. The gold line saw a decline of about 25%. Again, the gold line experienced a longer period of service interruption than the blue line did due to the winter weather, the ice and the snowstorms. Microtransit, we saw strong ridership. We were on track in January to actually continue to grow, but because of the winter weather, microtransit was affected as well. And so again, microtransit ridership was strong, but the winter weather clearly affected all of our operations and our passenger numbers on the month. I will now move to page 31 of your packet. It is your February sales tax report. Again, just as a reminder, so far we are in February and we have actual revenues received, sales tax revenues received through November 2025. Currently, the sales tax receipts are coming in below budget. However, we do feel comfortable that we can make adjustments through the year, and we believe that the sales tax revenues do have the opportunity still to show recovery and increase. So again, we're watching the trend, but we are not alarmed at this point related to the couple months that we saw actuals coming in below budget. I do want to mention some members of the MTC may have seen there was just literally today an alert related to a minor bus accident that just occurred. It was a minor accident, what I would call a fender bender. The initial reports we're getting is everyone was okay, and as we have more details, we'll certainly share that with the MTC. That is the conclusion of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Interim CEO. Let me take a moment to recognize we have a member of the MPTA in the room, Mr. Cameron Pruitt. Please stand up and wave. Very thankful for you being here. Of course, actually, our county manager is also a member of the MPTA, so shout out for doing double duty that way. Mayor Lyles has arrived. I think she just stepped out for a quick moment, but we do now have a quorum. Yes? Okay, great. Who has questions on this report?
Madam Chair, I don't have a question. I do have a comment, though. I can remember when our discussions first started about microtransit, and we had hoped to experience 1,000 unique riders in the first month, and we went over that in the first 2 weeks. Now this report shows close to 6,000 in a month. So obviously this is a model for success that people are going to use, and I look forward to expanding the microtransit throughout the county because I think the riders in North Mecklenburg have caught on. They realize how convenient this can be. I had about 20 students at my town board meeting last night. All of them have used microtransit at some time or another since it's been launched. So this is a model for success, and it's a good story to tell. So,
Would you like to introduce yourself? I'm Vi Lyles, and I'm Vi Lyles, and I'm the mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina. How is everybody? So, anything else?
So we're taking comments on the interim director's report. Did you have anything that you wanted to say or add?
I don't have anything. I think we've covered.
I did fail to mention, and Mayor Knox reminded me, yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of the start of microtransit. We agree, we believe that it has been very well received and very well utilized. I think it's been quite a while since we were able to report on growing ridership in the northern part of Charlotte, Huntersville, Davidson, Cornelius, with the exception of Express, for local services, and clearly people like the service. I'll also say that with the 1-year anniversary, we do intend to bring back some of our thoughts, lessons learned, some of the statistics and the data on the ridership, but also some of the lessons learned and how we have made changes as we go, but also will continue to make changes to better serve all of the passengers who are using the service.
I just thought of this. You know, we've just gotten the Waymo, is that you call the cars? The cars that travel and whatever. Would that be something that would impact the way that we operate? And what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that, so I don't know if folks are familiar with Waymo. They're deployed in some cities. Phoenix, Arizona is one. They are white vehicles that operate like Uber and Lyft do. You schedule them, and they have no driver. They're autonomous vehicles that operate out on the streets. So I do think that Waymo, couple things. Waymo really is a competitor to Uber and Lyft. And it is priced accordingly. So microtransit provides the affordable option for folks. But I do think as Waymo pilots their program in Charlotte, I think it opens the door for us to think about what are technologies that we can incorporate into transit, and how could those, any of the lessons they learn be applied here in the context of transit.
I think it's an opportunity for us to figure out that exact thing, Brett. I think that's the way that we can, if we have to move things around, if there's a way that it helps us all do this, I think that would be great, but I'm not quite sure that that's what's going to be the outcome. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Anybody online? All right, I don't think I see anyone trying to talk. You can think about it while I pose a few questions, and I can circle back again. So I would like to double down on what you were talking about, Mr. Cagle, with regard to the attempts to use data to improve performance around missed trips. This page 27 demonstrates that there was a consistently, 4 times higher missed trips back in 2025 that you have knocked down to, 25% of what it used to be. And so that's just a huge improvement, half a percentage now missed trips versus almost, 2.5%. So any missed trip is incredibly serious. It can mean someone losing a job or not being home to receive a child when they get off the school bus. It's a big deal, but this kind of progress deserves a shout out. So thank you to you and the team for that great progress. One of the critiques I've heard about microtransit is that people are going to love it so much that you're not going to be able to keep up with the demand. How are you seeing that in North Mecklenburg? Can we keep up with the demand? What is the delay, or not delay, but the average time for a microtransit vehicle to arrive? Do you feel that you're able to meet the need with the assets that CATS currently has deployed up there?
Excuse me. Yes, so we have expanded vehicles already. I believe we started the service with 6 and 7. We're at 7? Okay, so we started with 7 and we are now at 9. And that is because of the success. On the wait times or the response times, the pickup times, we are meeting our 30-minute average pickup. However, an average doesn't represent every pickup. And so what we do see is there are periods of very high demand, and we miss the 30 minutes on those occasions. And then there are periods of lower demand, and we beat the 30 minutes. As we have more data, the couple things we're looking at now is where do we see the demand pockets? Where are people coming from and where are they going to? Because generally speaking, as we get that data, it occurs every single day, right? A Monday is the same as a Tuesday, and a Wednesday and a Thursday, Friday. And then Saturday and Sundays are a little bit different. But we're using that data to think about how we deploy the vehicles, specifically where they should be. And so if we have a peak period of demand where we see high demand coming out of Huntersville, for example, instead of evenly spreading the vehicles, we may concentrate them or pull an extra vehicle down to meet that demand. So those are all some of the things that we learn from the data. The other thing that we start to understand is destinations. What are people using it for? Are they using it for work? Are they using it for going to lunch? All those things. And again, that helps us to gauge where we position vehicles and how we deploy the fleet. The last thing I'll say, and this question comes up a lot. Microtransit is one of those things that you say, well, it's great, but does that mean it's going to become a victim of its own success, right? And the truth is, as you think about how you scale up microtransit, there's a progression to that. One we've already done, you add vehicles, similarly sized vehicles. But you can't keep doing that forever. And so the next thing you do is, as demand continues to increase, you add bigger vehicles. Right? You go from a small 4-passenger van to a larger van. Ultimately, the goal, if microtransit is so successful that it creates transit demand high enough, you go back to a fixed route bus service. Because again, if demand is that high, the larger the vehicle, the better, if you can fill it, that's the point of transit, is to bring those additional vehicles off the road. So again, as we watch it, we do have some levers to pull. We also have some data analysis behind how we deploy, but we certainly have levers to pull as we see demand continue to grow. The other thing I'll say is our customers give us great feedback, and as we hear what they're saying, we can start to work directly with the software provider to really fine-tune how that scheduling software works. And for a while, we were seeing that where the scheduling software, as customers started to use it, we realized there were some things that we could make some changes with in the scheduling software to help improve the experience. And so we're doing all of those things, and we continue to do those things. But generally speaking, we think we have had good results, and we're learning from the data and deploying differently and keeping the service at that high level.
Well, great. I mean, if you're able to, on average, keep the service time within 30 minutes, that's what I wanted to hear. And I, for one, would love to hear in a future meeting lessons learned on microtransit at year one. How many people are, how often is it a ride share? How often is it solo? And that kind of thing. And I was watching the MPTA, and this seems like a good a moment as any to ask you about this. I was really excited to see you tell that body that that CATS is looking to deploy 2 extra microtransit zones. Did I hear that correctly?
So as we think about the rollout of Better Bus, yes, so we're working through now the scheduling for the rollout of both the bus frequencies and the microtransit zones. So recall, Better Bus features additional headways or frequencies on fixed route bus service, as well as the deployment of the microtransit zones in a 5-year window. And so, yes, we are looking at both which zones, what's the order of the zones to deploy, as well as the order of the fixed route bus routes to deploy to get us to the commitments we made in the transit system plan. And yes, we have discussed our implementation plan with the MPTA.
Well,
Happy to share that information as well with this body if you'd like.
Well, I do think at a future meeting the MPTA got sort of an update on the thinking around the transit plan and implementation, and I thought it was very interesting. And I imagine that my colleagues here would love to get that as well, just as, I don't know if it's 4 months or 6 months or how long it will be until we no longer need to be convening, but while we're still nominally supporting the policy work, I think that would be great.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyway, any other input on the manager's report at this time? All right. So now that we've.
I do have a question,
Yes.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Dennis Bilodeau Cornelius.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious if we have financial data for the first year. The microtransit significantly subsidized below what a ride-sharing ride would cost. So I just wonder if we're hitting expectation and what that looks like as we ramp up and expand. And then two, how are we doing for drivers? Are we having any difficulty finding drivers or are they readily available?
On the financial data, we can certainly bring that back to provide you an update. On the drivers, I would say that it is like any organization hiring. It's always a challenge to bring in new recruits, but they are holding steady and are able to recruit, retain, hire folks as needed. But it is a challenge to keep staffing levels consistent and high.
Good. Thank you, Brad.
All right, anybody else? All right, let's circle back to the quick little business items, and then we'll have a final presentation on the FTA audit, and then I think we'll be where we need to be. So we do need to select a vice chair of the MTC for, again, for however long we are in existence here. And I'll entertain any nominations from the dais.
I'll nominate Rusty Knox.
Excellent.
Second.
All right, any other nominations? All right.
None whatsoever.
All right, thank you again for offering yourself, Rusty Knox. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And that is unanimous.
Thank you.
Yes, would you like to say anything?
No, I like my tenure on this board. I've been on this board for 8 years now. I look forward to the transition to the MPTA in the future. I realize that that's a heavy lift for those 27 people, so we may be meeting for a while here. So we continue to do the good work.
Yep. Thank you very much. All right, at this time, we need to select a CRTPO representative from the MTC. So, all the mayors, of course, and the chair of the county commission have representation at CARPO, but so does this body. So anyone who would like to nominate themselves, can you nominate yourself?
Yes.
Okay, to nominate yourself or to be nominated, please speak up. Commissioner Chambers, were you still interested in the job?
Yes.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just thought you were interested.
Yeah.
Are you?
No, I had mentioned being interested in it through an email a while back. So,
So can I make that nomination?
All right, I think yes, please do.
Okay. I'd like to nominate Susan Chambers to be the CRTP, the MTC rep on CRTPO.
And I'll take a second.
I'll second.
All right, any other nominations? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And that is unanimous. Thank you, Susan Chambers, for offering yourself for another difficult transportation-related board. So thank you.
My pleasure. What the heck?
Just at an exciting time, too. All right, and apparently we need an alternate. Do we really?
That will be up to the board if they want to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to do that because I'm serving, you're serving.
I'm already the alternate for the town.
Alternate for
I'll be
what,
glad to be an
CRTPO?
alternate,
Okay.
just an alternate.
All right.
And that's an alternate, Susan, okay? You have to stay home.
All right, if no one else would like to offer themselves for service, I will thank Mayor Lyles for offering herself. All those in favor?
Do you need an actual nomination?
Go ahead.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, I'll nominate Bylaws as the alternate.
Thank you, Amelia.
All right, the motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, raise your right hand. And that is unanimous.
There you go.
Thank you, everybody. All right, at this time, I will take a motion to approve the minutes of our November 19th and December 3rd meetings.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, the motion having been made and properly seconded, is there any debate? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. All right, do we have anyone here for public comment? Ms. Kunze?
No, there are no public speakers today.
All right. And that brings us to our final item, which is a presentation on the FTA audit by Brent Cagle.
Yes, thank you. So the members of the MTC should have received, just after we received the FTA audit report, the members of the MTC should have received that via email as well. Hopefully, everyone has had a chance to take a look at it. I am going to speak to the items and then happy to take questions. So let me start with what this audit was. This audit is a focused agency safety plan audit of the Charlotte area transit system. And so as a reminder, the agency safety plan, or ASP, is a document that this board approves annually. It is normal for the ASP to be revised on an annual basis, and as it is revised, this board takes action to approve that. The ASP is a requirement of the FTA. That requirement was created, or our first ASP was created in 2020. And in 2024, the FTA amended reporting requirements associated with the ASP to include operator assaults. And that is in keeping with the FTA's desire to put a larger focus on both the occurrences and the strategies that the transit agency utilizes to reduce or eliminate operator assaults. The ASP is really a framework for how an agency identifies risk, assesses risk, mitigates risk, and then how do we evaluate and communicate the effectiveness of those measures. It is a strict framework and is part of what we call safety management systems, or SMS. And so the ASP follows SMS, and that is really a framework for how you conduct your analysis and how you document things associated with risk. And so it relates to safety, how we operate, how we maintain. It also relates to, in some respects, security, how we protect the passengers and the operators. So I will start with what the FTA said we were doing well. In the area of risk management, the FTA had no findings. And what that really means is they said CATS has no findings in our ability or our efforts to identify safety hazards. In the area of risk mitigation, the FTA, again, had no findings, and they say that, in effect, what that means is we're taking actions when we identify those hazards. So they say CATS is developing safety risk mitigations to address safety risk associated with assaults on transit workers. So again, in those two areas, no findings, and they really go together because they say we're identifying risk, and once identified, we're mitigating those risks. However, they did have 18 findings for this report. I am happy to answer any questions on the specific findings, but where, in general terms, where they believe, and they are correct, improvements can be made are really around how we document processes around what we've done and what we are going to do, and then how we document what we would call a feedback loop, or the communications between frontline employees and supervisors and management. And that's a two-way communication loop. They also note that we need to strengthen what they call the Joint Labor Management Committee. And the Joint Labor Management Committee is a function of the ASP, and it really does exactly what it sounds like. It brings management and labor together to discuss and identify hazards and to discuss mitigations, and then document how we're responding. One of the findings they found, and this will lead to a new ASP, is we currently have 2 joint labor safety committees, one for bus and one for rail. But we only have one ASP. And the standard is, if you have one ASP, you have one committee. Because we have a separation, bus and rail, that's why we have the 2 committees. And the proper approach would be to have 2 ASPs, one for bus and one for rail, because each ASP needs one committee, and we have one ASP with 2 committees. So again, these are sort of these are areas where, as we understand this and as we receive this valuable feedback from the FTA, we absolutely will take action to remedy and correct these items. And there will be, we are currently developing, working with an outside consultant to develop 2 independent ASPs, one for bus, one for rail, and then to address the additional findings related to documentation of processes throughout. Another finding of note that I will point out is the FTA emphasizes the importance of de-escalation training. And so in this finding, the FTA acknowledges that we are providing de-escalation training. What they say is they would like to see us deploy the de-escalation training faster, and we've been focusing on frontline operators. They would also like to see us deploy it to more than frontline operators. On both counts, we agree. We will work to deploy or provide the de-escalation training faster, and we will expand as we work through the operators. We will expand who is going to those trainings or who is identified for those trainings. It's more than just operators on the front line. So again, those are the general things. The last thing I'll say is we received this audit on February 2nd. The process is 30 days to respond. We are working through the responses. And as we prepare to send those responses to the FTA, we will send out the responses to the MTC, the MPTA, and to City Council. But I can tell you now, we agree with all findings, and so our responses will be to concur with the findings and then to identify the corrective action plan and the timeline to make those corrective actions. There were 18 findings and 7 recommendations. So again, we will concur with all 18 findings, and we will agree with all recommendations, and our responses will focus on implementing the corrective actions identified in the audit.
All right, thank you. Questions in the room?
Yes.
Mayor Knox.
de-escalation, who are we providing that training for? And does our security company that we contract with provide their own de-escalation training for their employees, and ours is different?
Yes, so the de-escalation training, I think you may recall, when I started in 2022, we focused on the need to have more robust de-escalation training. CAS has always had de-escalation training, but it needed to be better. It needed to be more robust. So really, over the last couple years, we have worked to develop a more robust series of trainings associated with de-escalation, really sort of the basic, intermediate, advanced, and so we have the modules. We have focused on beginning operators and other frontline employees, bus and rail side. And again, we will expand that. To your last question, yes, PSS or the security contractor does provide in-house training for their employees associated with de-escalation and other situations that they may encounter related to passengers or others in the field.
Mayor Lyles.
I just wondered, Brent, this is a lot of work. I mean, a lot of work. And I'm just wondering how it has impacted your team, your staff. Are there things that we need to do outsourcing or everything in? I just, you want to make sure that people feel that you're still running a transit system, but there's a lot of what I would call administrative work now that's taking place. So is there any concern for that?
So obviously, there are only so many hours in the day. This is very important work. The good news here is back in 2023, when we had a lot of discussions about rail car maintenance and those kinds of things, even back then, we engaged consultant that I mentioned before. Hatch is the name of the consultant, and we have been working with them. So this work is already started, and they have been systematically working through with our safety and security folks to improve and really improve processes and improve the ASP. We feel very good about where we're at on the rail side, and as we develop the bus side, it will continue to become better and better. But we already have Hatch. They have familiarity with our operations on both sides of the house, and they're already deployed and ready to continue the work moving forward. So we are not in a position where we're starting from scratch saying, now what do we do? Who do we bring in? We've already started this work and it continues, and that positions us to be able to be responsive much quicker, but also already have the resources on the ground ready to do this work.
Okay, thank you.
All right, questions online? Well, let me say that sometimes when I speak to Mr. Cagle, I begin the conversation by saying, I appreciate you and you're doing a great job. And I would like to say to all your hardworking staff, those folks over there, I appreciate you and you're doing a great job. When I watch the 8 about you all, and hope that, to the Mayor Lyles's point, that you are taking care of yourselves, because you are building a plane while flying it, and also answering the federal government and the state government and us, and that has got to be, probably this is one of the most challenging times professionally for all of you. So I just want you to know how much I appreciate you and your professionalism always. So do you have the resources for all of the recommendations, to implement all the recommendations? Is our resources, like financial resources, adequate to make any changes you need?
Yes, we are adequately resourced both from a staffing and a financial standpoint.
All right. And I didn't really hear anything that sounded, everything ultimately goes to customer service and safety, But I didn't hear anything that was really proximate to safety. It sounded a little more back of the house, the problems they identified. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I guess what I would say is I do think that we do a very good job. Our safety and security team, as well as our frontline team, does a very, very good job. When we see hazards, we act. We mitigate in the risk world. We take mitigating actions. I think we don't disagree with the FTA. I think we knew this going in. Where we need improvement is documentation and documenting processes and making sure that we are following those processes. And those are all things that when you think about the structure, the SMS structure, and how relatively new it is in transit, I think those are things where we view the FTA as a partner here, and not an enemy. And really, all of their comments are intended to help us continue to be better. I will say I was pleased. I'm never pleased about 18 findings, but I was pleased that, when I look at those, it's not that we're not doing anything or that we were, just not doing something. This is really about how we continue to do what we're doing, but do it better. And I think that's important.
Well, I also appreciate the federal government looking over our shoulder and finding any gaps, because we all want the best possible system. So I so appreciate your collaborative orientation towards the input you get from our partners in the federal government and in the state government. Any other questions? Okay, so at this time, before I call for adjournment, does anyone have anything else that they want to put out there or ask? All right, then at this time, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And it's unanimous.